30 students died at a Christmas party. The man who brought the gifts stood smiling as they fell. This is what happened. Every December, the town of Umuola came alive. Young men who had left for the big city came back home with shiny cars and big smiles. They wore clothes that glittered like the morning sun and threw money in the air. In this town was a man named Chidi. He stood by the corner, his heart heavy like a stone. Chidi was handsome and came from a respected family, but he was poor and poverty wrapped him like a tight chain. While others drove big cars, Chidi walked barefoot and watched. His rich friends laughed loudly. "Chidi, come and join us," they teased, waving money in his face. He forced a smile, but inside he was boiling. At night, Chidi sat in his small room, staring at the dark ceiling. His fists were clenched. "This shame is too much," he muttered. "Every year they come back richer, and I stay the same, no more. Next Christmas, they will look at me and bow. No matter what it takes, I'll be rich." His words hung in the air like a dark promise. What Chidi didn't know was that his promise would be heard. Chidi heard about the chairman from the whispers of the town. "The chairman can make you rich," people said, "but his help comes at a price." Everyone feared him. His mansion sat on a lonely hill, surrounded by tall trees. At night, the house glowed with a strange, cold light. Chidi, desperate and tired of his shame, decided to go. "What do I have to lose?" he muttered as he climbed the hill. When he reached the chairman's house, the door creaked open on its own. Inside, the chairman sat in a large chair, his face hidden in the dim light. His voice was deep, like the rumble of a distant earthquake. "What do you want?" the chairman asked. "I want to be rich," Chidi said, his voice trembling. "I'll do anything." The chairman leaned forward, and his eyes glowed like burning coals. "Anything," he repeated. Chidi nodded, though his legs felt weak. The chairman laughed. "There are 3 paths," he said, holding up 3 fingers. "You must choose one." "First," the chairman said, "you can sacrifice your mother, the woman who gave you life." Chidi's heart skipped. "No, I can't." "Second," the chairman continued, "you can give up your manhood, your strength, your pride, gone forever." Chidi's stomach twisted. "Or," the chairman said, his voice growing darker, "you can harm innocent children. Their laughter will turn to tears, their lives taken for your gain." Chidi's knees buckled. His mind raced. Sacrifice his mother? Never. Lose his manhood? Impossible. But harming children? The thought was terrible, but his greed whispered louder than his conscience. "Choose," the chairman said. The path back down would be darker than the one he climbed. Chidi went back home and couldn't sleep for days. Each option haunted him, but each time he thought of staying poor, his chest burned with anger and shame. Finally, Chidi returned to the chairman. His choice was made. "I'll harm the children," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. The chairman smiled, his teeth sharp like the edges of broken glass. He handed Chidi a small black bag filled with strange powders. "Mix these with food," the chairman instructed. "Give it to the children. Their lives will fuel your fortune." Chidi's hands shook as he took the bag. "What happens after?" "You'll be rich," the chairman said. "But remember, this must be done every December when Christmas is approaching. Wealth comes with a price." As Chidi walked down the hill, the wind seemed to whisper, "You can never go back." He didn't know that others would soon start watching. Chidi waited until Christmas arrived. Children ran around, their laughter sweet as bird songs. But while everyone was celebrating, Chidi was in his room, preparing the cursed food. He opened the small black bag, his hands trembling. The powder inside looked ordinary, but its smell was sharp, like something burnt. He mixed it into 3 small packs of food, rice, stew, and a few sweets. When he stepped outside, his smile was wide. "Merry Christmas," he called to the children playing nearby. They ran to him. "Uncle Chidi brought food," one of them shouted. Chidi knelt and handed them the packs. "Eat well, my little ones," he said warmly. "Thank you, Uncle Chidi." "God bless you," they chorused, their tiny hands clutching the cursed meals. The first thread had been pulled. Days passed and Chidi waited. Then it began. A wealthy businessman called him with an offer he couldn't refuse. Deals fell into his lap. Money poured in like rain. Chidi's life transformed overnight. He bought a shiny black car, wore clothes that sparkled, and built a house so grand that everyone stopped to admire it. The town buzzed with talk of his success. "Mr. Chidi is so generous," people said. "God has blessed him." But deep inside, Chidi's heart was restless. The laughter of the children haunted him at night, yet greed whispered louder. "If 3 packs gave me this much," Chidi thought, "what will 100 do?" Then came the news that shattered his false peace. One of the 3 children fell sick, then another. Within days, all 3 were dead. The town mourned, but quietly. 3 deaths could be explained: bad food, illness, bad luck. No one suspected foul play. No one except an old woman named Mama Ngozi. Mama Ngozi had lived in Umuola for 70 years. She knew the signs of dark magic. When she heard about the 3 deaths, she went to the parents' homes. She examined the children's bodies, smelled their clothes, and asked questions. "What did they eat before they died?" she asked. "Food from Mr. Chidi," one parent answered. Mama Ngozi's face darkened. She said nothing more, but her eyes burned with suspicion. She began watching Chidi from a distance. She noted his sudden wealth, his new car, his grand house. She saw how he smiled too widely, how his eyes never reached his heart. "Something is wrong with that man," she muttered to herself. But Mama Ngozi was old, and few people listened to old women anymore. Sometimes the warning is already there, but no one wants to hear it. Christmas came again, and Chidi was ready. This time, he didn't stop at 3. He prepared 100 cursed food packs, each one mixed with the powder from the chairman's black bag. "This year, my riches will double," he whispered to himself. But this time, Chidi made a mistake. He was careless. One afternoon, a teacher from St. Kizito Secondary School named Miss Ada came to visit Chidi's house. She wanted to invite him to their Christmas party. When she arrived, Chidi was in his kitchen, mixing the powder into the food packs. He didn't hear her footsteps. Miss Ada pushed the door open slightly and saw him. She saw the black bag, the strange powder, and the way Chidi's hands moved with dark purpose. Her breath caught in her throat. She stepped back quietly and hurried away. That night, Miss Ada couldn't sleep. What had she seen? Should she report it? But report what? A man mixing powder into food. It could be medicine, spices, anything. She had no proof. And Chidi was wealthy and respected. Who would believe her? She decided to wait and watch. That choice would return before the week ended. Chidi chose St. Kizito Secondary School for his plan. On the last day before Christmas, the school buzzed with excitement. Balloons hung from the windows, music played from the speakers. The danger had already entered the compound. Suddenly, a loud voice rang out. "Mr. Chidi is here." The children ran to the gate. Chidi arrived in a shiny black car that sparkled under the sun. He stepped out, wearing fine cloth. "Good afternoon, my children," he greeted warmly. The head teacher welcomed him with open arms. "Mr. Chidi, your kindness is unmatched. You are a blessing to us." Miss Ada stood at the back of the crowd, watching. Her stomach churned with unease. She wanted to shout, to warn everyone, but fear gripped her throat. What if she was wrong? What if she ruined an innocent man's reputation? She remained silent. Chidi's workers began unloading bags of rice, cartons of drinks, and envelopes filled with money. The children lined up eagerly. "Thank you, Mr. Chidi," they shouted as they received their gifts. Chidi smiled and waved, but inside he felt nothing. Among the students was Linda, the daughter of Mr. and Mrs. Zane. Linda had been forbidden by her parents to attend school whenever Mr. Chidi was around, but she had disobeyed. For days she had been sneaking out, hiding her uniform in a bag and changing near the school gate. Linda's parents had been warned. Weeks earlier, Mrs. Zane had a dream. In her dream, she saw a thick black shadow creeping across the school. It wrapped itself around the children, squeezing the life out of them. In the center of it all stood Mr. Chidi, smiling as he handed out gifts. Mrs. Zane woke with a scream. "Something is wrong with that man," she cried, clutching her husband's arm. "What are you saying?" Mr. Zane asked. "I saw him. Chidi," she said, her voice trembling. "His gifts carry evil. We must protect Linda." The next morning, the couple went to warn the other parents. "Don't let your children accept gifts from Mr. Chidi," they pleaded. But the parents dismissed them. "You're being too superstitious," one man said. Even the head teacher waved them off. "Mr. Chidi has been generous to every school in this town. Now that it's our turn, there's no way we're turning him away." Their rejection sealed what was coming. Frustrated, the Zanes turned their attention to their daughter. "You must never take anything from Mr. Chidi," they warned her. "But why, Mama?" Linda asked. "Everyone else takes his gifts. Why not me?" Her parents didn't explain the dream, only repeating their warning. "Promise us, Linda, no gifts from Mr. Chidi." Linda nodded reluctantly, but in her heart she felt her parents were being unfair. What she didn't know was that her promise would save her life. At the party, the children tore into their food packs. Linda stood at the edge of the crowd, watching. Her friends called to her, "Linda, come and eat. Mr. Chidi's food is so sweet." Linda's mouth watered. The smell of jollof rice and fried chicken was too strong. She took a step forward. Then she hesitated. Her mother's voice echoed in her mind. "Promise us, Linda." Linda bit her lip and stepped back. She wouldn't eat the food, but she stayed at the party. Then the joy shattered. One student clutched their chest and fell to the ground. "Ah, somebody help!" a teacher screamed. Before anyone could react, another child collapsed. Then another. Benches scraped against the floor, a plate shattered. Someone shouted a name, "Kioma!" Then another, "Emika!" Teachers rushed forward, their shoes pounding on the concrete. Children scrambled backwards, eyes wide, not understanding. A whistle blew, then another scream. More bodies hit the ground. Parents who had been standing outside the gate heard the screaming and crashed through the entrance. A mother fell to her knees, pulling her child into her arms. Doors slammed open. A teacher tried to carry two children at once, stumbling under their weight. "Call the ambulance," someone yelled. "Water, get water," another voice cried. But it was too late. The children's eyes had already closed. Miss Ada stood frozen, her worst fears confirmed. "I should have spoken," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. "I should have stopped him." In the middle of the chaos, Linda stood frozen, watching helplessly as more students fell, their laughter replaced by silence. The sight was too much for her. Her vision blurred, her knees gave way, and she fainted. By the end of the day, 30 lifeless bodies lay on the school grounds. Parents wailed, teachers cried, and the entire town roared with fear. From work, Mr. and Mrs. Zane heard what had happened and quickly rushed back home. But when they entered the house, it was silent. Linda was nowhere to be found. Mrs. Zane paced the room. "She should be home by now," she said, her voice trembling. Mr. Zane tried to stay calm, but his hand shook. "Maybe she stayed with a friend," he suggested weakly. Suddenly, a knock came at their door. It was their neighbor's daughter. "Auntie, I need to tell you something," she said softly. Mrs. Zane leaned closer. "What is it, my dear?" "Linda has been sneaking out to school," the girl revealed. "She hides her uniform in a bag and changes near the school gate." The words hit the Zanes like a heavy blow. Mrs. Zane gasped. Mr. Zane's face darkened. Without wasting a moment, they rushed out of the house. When they reached the school, parents were wailing. Teachers were on their knees. "Where is Linda?" Mrs. Zane shouted, grabbing the first person she saw. The man shook his head. "I don't know," he said, "but some children were taken to the hospital." The Zanes didn't stop to ask more. They ran to the hospital. When they arrived, parents crowded the entrance, begging doctors for news. Inside, the Zanes searched desperately until they found Linda lying on a hospital bed. Her face was pale, her eyes closed, but she was breathing. "She's alive," Mrs. Zane cried, falling to her knees in relief. A doctor approached them. "Your daughter fainted from shock," he explained. "She didn't eat the food, so she's safe." The Zanes wept. "Thank God she was spared," Mr. Zane whispered. As they left the hospital, they saw other parents weeping over the lifeless bodies of their children. The Zanes approached them. "We warned you," Mrs. Zane said. "We told you not to trust Chidi, but you didn't listen." The parents could only cry, their regret hanging over them like a dark cloud. Back at St. Kizito Secondary School, the few children who survived stood together, their eyes wide with fear. When the police arrived, their voices broke the silence. It was him, one of the children cried, pointing a trembling finger at Chidi. He gave us the food. Miss Ada
We
stepped
must
forward.
stand together
I saw
and
him,
make
she
a
said.
change.
Days ago,
It's
I saw
time to
him
raise
mixing
our
something
voices
into
for
food
what is
packs.
right.
I should have spoken sooner. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Chidi, who had stood tall and confident just hours ago, now looked like a broken man. His hands shook and his knees buckled as he fell to the ground.
Please, I beg you, forgive me.
I didn't mean for
I
this
know
to
what I
happen,
did was
he
wrong,
wailed.
and I'm so
But the children
sorry.
didn't stop.
Please, I
He
beg
did
you,
it, they
forgive me.
shouted, cornered and
I
overwhelmed.
know what I did was
Chidi
wrong,
finally
and I'm
broke
so
down.
sorry.
It's the chairman's
Please, I
shrine,
beg you,
he
forgive
cried.
me.
I made a deal for
I
wealth.
know what I did was wrong.
I cursed
and
the food.
Please, I beg you,
The
forgive
truth
me.
spilled like poison into
I
the
know
air.
what I did was wrong.
The head teacher pointed at Chidi. "You are a monster," she screamed. The police quickly handcuffed Chidi, dragging him away as angry shouts erupted from the crowd. "He must pay for this," the parents roared. But the townspeople weren't done. Fueled by their anger, they stormed Chidi's mansion that night. In the center of the mansion, they found the shrine. It was dark and eerie, with a giant wooden snake coiled around a blood-red altar. Strange objects surrounded it: candles, feathers, and the bag of black powder. "Burn it," someone shouted. Flames roared to life, consuming the shrine and the snake statue. Sparks flew into the night sky as the people chanted, "End this curse." The fire burned until nothing was left but ash. That night, the strange death stopped, and the heavy shadow over the town began to lift. Chidi, now a prisoner, was sentenced to life in prison. Behind bars, he sat alone, haunted by the faces of the children he had hurt. Their laughter, their bright eyes, they visited him in his dreams, turning his nights into endless torment. The town mourned deeply. Parents planted trees in the schoolyard to honor the children who were lost. The trees grew tall and strong, their branches reaching toward the sky. Every Christmas after, the people of the town carried the memory of that terrible day. The tale of Chidi became a lesson told through generations. The man who traded small lives for big wealth found that no prison is darker than the one built by your own hands. If this moved you, share what you learned below and subscribe for more stories.